What? Oh, I'm going to close the roll on that because Senator Jackson is not going to be here. Final vote.
You might get a bill.
Well, go ahead, Senator Pavley. This is item number 12. Once again, a Pavley bill on low carbon fuels. No, go ahead. This is item number 12.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. In January, the Air Resources Board, just so you know, readopted the low carbon fuel standard that was based on an executive order by Governor Schwarzenegger many years ago. And it's the background of the vision to reduce petroleum by 50% by 2030. That program continues on. As the standard begins to ramp up and further drive down the carbon intensity of fuels, and right now the standard is to reduce by 10% the carbon intensity of fuels, it's vital that California reap the economic and jobs benefit. Currently, the lion's share of LCFS credits are granted out of state, and that is not good policy. SB 1402 will establish an incentive program, a fuels incentive program at the Air Resources Board that will increase the production of low-carbon fuels and ensure that these fuels are produced in state. This is a new program there. It's suggested in the governor's proposed budget, and I think it's an excellent thing to focus on. We've been focusing on cars, we've been focusing on fuel efficiency in trucks and lower fuels, but we haven't been really looking at fuels itself. We've been focusing on land use, and with the majority of our greenhouse gas emissions coming from the mobile sector, this time has come. So let's go forward together and create well-paying 21st century jobs, particularly in disadvantaged communities. The analysis notes this is a work in progress, but continuous meetings with all the stakeholders, a program that's been identified by CARB to be in CARB. This builds on the administration's focus on this issue, and I think it's really incumbent upon the legislature to provide the oversight and be a part of the establishment of priorities in this program. So the analysis mentioned the CEC has a program that's on $118 incentive grants for construction or expansion of biofuel facilities. That's not the same. I view it as complementary. The governor's proposed budget shows an initial $40 million to this new program in CARB to provide an incentive program based on the production of alternative fuels. And I wanted to share with you some kinds of options that would be available there. It was a few weeks ago, I was down at LAX, the Los Angeles airport. A company in Paramount, California, a disadvantaged community, retrofitted an oil refinery, made it an lower carbon alternative fuel refinery, employing new people, transitioning the jobs to that. So where's the market? It's all about where is the market, and that's how we have to identify the acceleration of alternative fuels. United Airlines stepped into this space and said, we will start interstate programs of using lower carbon aviation fuels at United Airlines, and we were there for the kickoff. So it sent the market signals for investment in this facility that's not too far away. It starts a program that we weren't able to regulate, and that's the airline industry. They're doing a great job now in signing those contracts, and the first few planes, I think, flying up towards your district in the state are now operating on lower carbon aviation fuels. That's a game changer globally. I was really excited to see that done, but that's the kinds of win-win solutions and things. So with me today, I have Reed Addis on behalf of CalSTART, which is supporting this measure, and Kathy Van Osten on behalf of United to testify in support.
Okay, Chair and members, Reed Addis on behalf of CalSTART.
we're in support today. We have a strong mission statement to work towards bringing new technologies to the market to make sure we resolve many of our problems, in particular our climate problems. Those technologies, unlike software, other things California is good at, is really expensive to actually bring to market, both from the research side, but importantly, actually building it and producing it. We believe that the state needs to take a portfolio approach to bringing these various technologies, and therefore we are very supportive of an approach like this that says one of those tools needs to be advanced technology fuels. As the author mentioned, the LCFS is a great policy driver, but what we see this attempt is being able to be coupled with the LCFS and allowing a stronger market signal for better financing to come into the state for production facilities in the state that'll bring us more jobs, also bring us that advanced technology fuel, and ultimately allows for a stronger market signal for private capital as well. But we do need some kind of state policy that and vehicle, if you will, to allow that financing to occur and to bring that private capital to bear. And we think this policy does it. Clearly, there are some questions on exactly how you do that, and we're working with the author and others on the precise tool at the end of the day that would need to be used. Thank you.
We'll look forward to that precise tool. Yes. Van Osten.
Caught my breath now. Kathy Van Osten, MVM Strategy Group, representing United Airlines. And we're really pleased to be here today. Even though the bill's in conceptual form, our conversations with Senator Pavley have been very positive about bringing into the fray renewable, sustainable jet fuel. It was just about a month ago, March 11th, that United, in partnership with Altair out of Paramount, California, launched its first commercial aviation flight with the use of biojet fuel. And this is really exciting. We have a 3-year commitment. I think it's 15 million gallons that'll fuel about 12,500 flights, LAX to San Francisco. The airline is absolutely committed, and we would like to see, frankly, an expanded use of biojet fuel in the state and, frankly, across the country. So Altair is the first company, my understanding is globally, that's actually producing. They've tooled a facility specifically to produce biojet fuel. Interestingly enough, they can also produce renewable diesel. So under the LCFS, because diesel is included under LCFS, biojet is not, the incentives are there for them to produce the biodiesel over the biojet. So that creates a difficulty in terms of supply for us in meeting this commitment. So we're very proud of the achievement United's made in this. I know this has been in testing for quite some time. So we have petitioned, we've been at the board at CARB to ask to be included in LCFS, which is, I think everybody thinks we're crazy, but the reality is we need to have biojet within that incentive program. There's federal preemptions on regulation in terms of mandating use. We're having those conversations with CARB. You would not have biojet created without offtake agreements, and we anticipate and place our orders early for biojet. So I'm getting a little off script here, but so what we do appreciate about this bill is the opportunity to potentially create some incentives for renewable, sustainable, low-carbon jet fuel. We would get similar benefits, 60% reduction in carbon intensity. It's significant. But unless we have some incentive, it's going to be very challenging to have that supply available to us and, frankly, to grow that supply. So we're looking forward to working with Senator and to bring this to market and hopefully expand the use in California.
And one day have those friendly low-carbon skies. No, just couldn't help myself.
That was my ending
Those
of my
in
speech.
support of
Fly the low-carbon skies.
1402, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Julia Levin with the Bioenergy Association of California. Earlier, you had a very robust conversation about Senator Laura's bill to reduce super pollutants, short-lived climate pollutants. Well, you didn't all agree on the right way to do that, whether it's regulation versus incentive. I think there was wide agreement that we need more incentives to reduce short-lived climate pollutants, and Senator Pavley's bill would do just that. We can reduce methane from urban organic waste, food and yard waste. We can reduce methane from dairy emissions, and we can reduce black carbon from catastrophic wildfires by converting that organic waste into very, very low carbon and carbon negative transportation fuels. But we do need more funding to do that. So we strongly support this legislation and urge the committee to pass it to help convert organic waste to the lowest carbon transportation fuels. Thank you.
Next.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Louis Brown on behalf of the California Biodiesel Alliance in support of the bill. It only makes sense that if we're going to be using biofuels in the state of California, that we should be producing them here. And we think that that's the key part of the Senator Pavley's bill, as well as some of the work that she's been doing with us over the last couple of years, is that low carbon fuel standard has been moving forward. It's unfortunate, though, that a lot of that fuel is coming from out of state and out of country. And so what we can do to provide a structured program to allow for in-state production is absolutely critical. We ask for your aye vote.
Fran Pavley, made in California. Next.
Hi, Tim Taylor on behalf of Airlines for America. Just really wanted to piggyback on United's testimony. They are a member of A4A. We concur and look forward to working with the author in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Duncan McFetridge representing Pacific Ethanol, Ametis, and Calgren, three of the leading biofuel producers in California and leaders in the drive to comply with the LCFS. We have invested over $500 million in steel in the ground in California in the last 10 years. We'd like to do more. We'd like to produce more here in California, and we think this is a strong step in that regard, so we urge your support.
We do have that 10% target looming in front of us.
Mr. Chairman, members, Johannes Escudero on behalf of the Coalition for Renewable Natural Gas, pleased to echo many of the aforementioned provided comments in support of the bill. Our members include producers of 90% of the renewable natural gas, otherwise referred to as RNG, biomethane, or upgraded biogas in North America. Unfortunately, all of that production volume takes place outside of California. Under the context of LCFS, which is an environmental program that provides just one incentive for in-state production, all of the biomethane utilized is imported. We would like to see that change. We'd like to see increased production of biomethane in California. And so for these reasons, appreciate your support today.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Kenny. I'm with Clean Energy Renewables. We are the nation's largest provider of natural gas, renewable natural gas transportation fuel. And we have 15 production facilities all outside California. A bill like this is going to help us move forward with more in-state production. Thank you.
All right. Opposition to SB 1402. Okay, let's close the public comment. Any questions of the senator?
Mr. Chair, if I could cut to the chase, I know you would like to see more specifics in the bill. We're collaborating with people. I think you can see this niche we're trying to carve out. This is a program that CARB has initiated.
Yeah.
And with some funding sources. And so I'd be glad to bring it back to committee as this is fleshed out and we make a few amendments to it. But the in-state job component of it, along with ramping up creating markets for lower carbon fuels, is really critically important. Not in conflict with what the CEC is doing, but complementary.
Senator Hill?
I was just going to comment, and that was going to be my question to Senator Pavley, was the comments and the lack of specificity and how this would be accomplished. So I'm comfortable with it moving to, if there's something to be added later on, I don't know if we need to see it again or not, but
At the discretion of the chair.
Yeah, but I'd be happy to move the bill at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Right.
Senator Bates?
Again, I always get concerned when we're giving CARB the responsibilities. It sounds like they already have this program going, but there's not a lot of information on that. So I'm not voting today, Senator Pavley, but I like the idea that we're moving with charging them with doing incentives. That's a good thing. It's a matter of specificity on what they will pursue in terms of those fuels, because there is an issue about ethanol and, is that the total direction that we'll be going in, because we know that works, but in any event, it needs some work, and I'm just going to lay off today, but I'm with you as you pursue the incentive approach on this. Very good.
As for your I vote?
Let's call the roll.
Item 12, SB 1402 by Senator Pavley. The motion is due pass and refer to Committee on Appropriations. Senators Wykowski?
Aye.
Wykowski, aye. Gaines? Bates? Hill? Aye. Hill, aye. Jackson? Leno? Pavley?
Aye.
Pavley, aye. 3-0.
We'll keep that open. Let's move forward to SB 1415, those data gaps between energy and water.
And we don't want those, do we?
We don't want those data gaps.
Okay.
This is 1425. Item 14.
With your indulgence, just a short history here. And back in 2000, Senator Scheer, who is well known still today, created voluntary reporting of greenhouse gas emissions, putting in the protocols in place by a group called the California Climate Action Registry. It was a very popular program. In fact, many businesses took them up on this opportunity to voluntarily establish a baseline for greenhouse gas emissions, and it turned out to be to their advantage as we gave credit for early action measures when subsequent bills like AB 32 was passed. AB 32 started out as a mandatory reporting of greenhouse gas emissions. It shows the protocols because of the good work of the California Climate Action Registry and their assistance with the private sector could be done easily. No opposition to that part of the bill, and it was instrumental part of AB 32's coalition of supporters. So, and last year we had a select committee hearing down at UCLA, and it was a hearing held on innovative solutions to address the drought at the same time to reduce carbon pollution. We know that about 20% of our energy is moving, treating, and heating water. It's really important to try to figure out how these two, what we considered silos, will work together. So how do we measure the carbon embeddedness in water after meeting with multiple agencies and departments and private sector and water delivery companies and agencies? People have different metrics and different protocols, and so creating a standard, just like we have done with greenhouse gas emissions, determining the carbon embeddedness in water is really critically important, because this is an important part of the solution as we try to reach our targets under 2030 or 2050 targets. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to David Rosenheim from the Climate Registry, whose prior agency, the California Action Registry, was very instrumental in doing this very good work and providing, if you will, the metrics and protocols that would become a consistent way for all these different agencies to measure their carbon embeddedness. So, Mr. Rosenheim.
And thank you for your patience of waiting 4 hours to testify today.
This has been a fun and interesting day, so thank you. And thank you, Senator Pavley, Chair Wykowski, and members, for hearing out what I think is probably not the sexiest of the issues today, but a really important one. And I'm actually wearing two hats today. One is my nights and weekends volunteer gig, being a chapter director for Environmental Entrepreneurs, which is a network of business leaders, almost 1,000 business leaders across the country, who represent more than $100 billion in invested private equity and venture capital. And E2 ran a series of Water Energy Nexus workshops last year, and this topic of the importance of data mapping the embedded carbon in water was a constant theme. And so E2 is strongly in support of this bill. My day job, as Senator Pavley mentioned, is as executive director of the Climate Registry, the descendant organization of the California Climate Action Registry. And on behalf of TCR, we'd certainly like to voice our support for 1425 and really just support the state of California's efforts to encourage the measurement, reporting, and third-party verification of greenhouse gas emissions embedded in California's water system. We recognize this intrinsic connection between water, energy, and GHG emissions, As Senator Pavley noted, a big portion of the state's energy is used in the water cycle, but that quantification of the embedding carbon is not really well understood. And so the management and reduction of both water and energy and carbon use in the water cycle has to start with measurement. A water energy nexus registry would not only help to address these known gaps in quantifying greenhouse gas emissions associated with the energy use in the water system, but it would also provide actionable data to the large water consumers, right? So these are the water agencies, they're large companies, food and beverage companies, bottlers, et cetera, and it would help these organizations to identify investment opportunities and ways to reduce both energy and GHGs in the water they use. And we've really seen, as the Senator was pointing out, a direct connection between measurement and reductions, right? It's sort of akin to maintaining your own household budget. How are you going to save money if you don't really know where you're spending the money? The Climate Registry did a study last summer of 50 of our voluntary members over the course of 5 years of data, 5 consecutive years of reported and verified greenhouse gas data, and it showed that in just 5 years, the average reduction was 20%. And this is including large utilities, airlines, and other large emitters. So it's pretty significant. The bill as amended lists a number of functions that this registry could provide. I just want to add a couple, really 3 functions. One would be to provide a consensus-based reporting protocol and calculation methodologies that would result in this sort of standardized comparable data that can then be used for benchmarking and analysis. The second benefit would be to integrate third-party verification, which would ensure the accuracy and credibility of reported data. And the third is to offer a set of tools for the agencies and other companies that are charged with managing these emissions. So these are tools like calculation software, trainings, and other resources that would help them effectively measure, report, and verify their emissions. Lastly, I'll just say that, it's been brought up a couple times today, California's international role and our big role in the Paris negotiations. This sort of thing does not exist yet. And obviously, California has particular needs in terms of greenhouse gas reductions and water conservation. But creating this registry in California, we think would be exportable to other states and other regions around the world. And we've seen this happen, as Senator Pavley described, from CCAR to TCR, which is a North America-wide program, and we're now taking those protocols and that tool set internationally. We recently launched a full greenhouse gas reporting program for the government of Thailand, for example, just 6 months ago. So a couple of resources that are available for further reading and research. The registry co-authored a report, a white paper on California's water energy climate nexus in 2013, and we released guidance that sets a series of metrics that measures the GHG footprint of a unit volume of water. And that is being piloted. We just released that in December, and that's being piloted with a number of water agencies in Southern California with support from Southern California Edison. So we're eager to work with water agencies and CARB and others to implement this registry. Thank you.
This is where the bill came from. I read the report during the fall. It was very well written, but everyone's doing a different approach to how to develop the metrics and how to measure carbon embeddedness in water, and it's been confusing. This is a voluntary program, and so suggesting that they, along with CARB, work together, develop those protocols, and people that want to participate in having their carbon embeddedness in water delivery and supply participate, they can. I think it would be a smart investment, because especially if cap and trade money looks at tying in energy reductions and water through recycling or other programs, there's a potential for auction revenue expenditures in this way, and developing more regional water supply solutions. So for all those reasons, I would appreciate your support.
Are there members of the public that would like to speak on 1425? Haven't done that? Is there any opposition to SB 1425? Right? Hearing from the public? Are there any questions by members? Senator Gaines.
This is something you might be able to support, Mr. Gaines.
Well, my concern is, has more to do with the authority of CARB as a bureaucracy. And this is the third bill we've heard today that is granting additional responsibility or power to CARB. And my concern from a governance standpoint is, what are we doing to provide oversight of authority for basically a bureaucracy that has the power and authority of rulemaking and of fining? So when we take a look at a California Climate Registry, that could take a look, that's voluntary in nature initially. Could that become a rule that would be created through CARB that would then have power and oversight over water agencies throughout California?
It's a registry program. It's a
I
registry
know,
program.
this
And
is
so
step-
all the water agencies are already sort of trying to operate in this space, but they're all in measuring carbon embeddedness in their water, things like Aqua. Everyone's talking about this. I've had multiple meetings with Metropolitan Water District and everyone else, trying to get the protocols right and the measurements, because they know that could be a very smart investment. So having someone design these protocols, and then they can determine whether they want to participate or whether they have a carbon equivalent in the way they've measured it. There was no opposition to a similar bill back in 2000 that put in voluntary reporting and protocols in place for measuring greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, most businesses wanted to participate to get their baselines down, because they turned out to be the ones that really spearheaded some of this investment in energy efficiency and supported it becoming mandatory. Now, whether it ever becomes mandatory or not, that's a separate discussion for another day. It's CARB right now because they're the lead agency in the scoping plan on AB 32.
Okay.
Could it be somewhere else? But it's not meant to take away authority from other agencies. If they don't want to measure their carbon intensity, that's fine.
Okay, I guess my concern
They
is.
may miss out on some opportunities. It's right. It's development consistency in how you measure and how you audit. It's
Right.
not a punitive anything.
I get, maybe it's a broader question as to whether the legislature is interested in providing oversight to CARB or not. I keep seeing more and more authority being granted to this bureaucracy, and yet I don't see where we as legislators are managing, and maybe it's complicit. Maybe the desire of the legislature is let them do as they wish without the oversight, but it's just a growing concern that I have, just in general, not
I mean, I
not to
think
your
what
bill
we-
specifically, but
I
it's
do-
interesting
I
that
do
in this
have
one,
about 3 or 4
one hearing.
oversight hearings a year, but I think you're right. Whatever the agency is, and I should
True.
point out on AB
Absolutely.
32, there's 7 different agencies involved, and probably 20 different agencies all spending cap and trade money. So as you focus on one, I think all those agencies that are in the space, or whatever they're regulating, part of our job is to provide
Right.
some oversight, have hearings, get engaged,
right.
create
Yeah.
bills to tighten up or weaken, whatever. That's
Sure.
all in our jurisdiction.
Right, so this wouldn't grant any authority beyond the voluntary collection of data?
Correct.
No.
Yeah, okay, very well, thank you.
Okay, there's a motion by Senator Hill. Do pass to approps. Please call the roll.
Item 14, SB 1425 by Senator Pavley. Motion is due pass, refer to Committee on Appropriations. Senators Wykowski?
Aye.
Wykowski, aye. Gaines? Bates?
I'm going to support this with a weak support because I like the baseline idea. But I do think we need to focus on the CARB getting incredible power. And by the way, those people move. They're not, we are term limited in a different sense. The people put us in and take us out. But those members, based on the political implications of anything before them, their membership changes, and I think that that is something we need to start paying close attention to.
Continue.
Bates says aye.
Yep.
Bates, aye. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, aye. Jackson? Leno? Pavley? Pavley, aye.
We'll keep the roll open on that one. Thank you, Senator.